Thank you. Thank you, Secretary. I want to follow up on Representative Bobeck's question about the Southwest office and permitting. You had talked a lot about staffing. What else are you doing to improve the operation down there?
Sure. No, thank you for asking. And it's a few things. One, as we looked at our backlog issues there, we looked at where we had capacity in some of the other regions and actually moved permits around to make sure we were meeting some of those obligations. We instituted something we call the Pittsburgh 100, which is a new process for looking at erosion sedimentation permits, giving the regulated industry similar checklists to what we would be looking at, so that it's very clear where what information is needed and where that information can be found.
Is that the shortened permit? I think you were talking to me about it in my office, I think maybe a few months ago.
Correct. And then the other thing, frankly, was a resource thing where we moved, when things were going well in the region, we'd had more permitters and more clerical staff, frankly, to process the administrative side of it. And we'd had that capacity erode pretty significantly. So we've added a couple of positions on the technical side and a couple of positions on the clerical side in order to improve the process.
Do you feel that's adequate enough to further drive down the backlog and keep this from happening again in the future?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of process issues as well as the number of people. When it comes to well permits, frankly, there's an element to that is just a number of people to look at the information, so making sure we maintain some adequacy there. The other thing is later this year, all of our oil and gas permits will go into an electronic format, which we expect will help, particularly on that completeness administrative upfront side of things.
And I'm sure that'll help, because I hear about the large stacks of papers on everyone's desk, and then having to, when my staff calls in, they have to go from one desk to another desk and sort through all the paperwork, and I can imagine that'll be a lot easier at that point.
Absolutely.
Shifting gears, I want to talk a little bit about some of the matching federal funds. Do you know how much in federal funds DEP receives?
I know we're seeking an authorization of about $219 million for this year.
Do you know if there's anything that we can do to further leverage additional federal dollars? Do you feel like we're maximizing that?
I know one of the areas that, because of, again, some of that lack of general fund funding, we had been, which we haven't been recently, but at one point we were returning back, for example, some federal mining dollars. I think we're leveraging well. One of the areas in particular we've been doing so well on the abandoned mine land reclamation side of things that a lot of the planned projects are getting done. So as we get more funding, we need to figure out how we get the planning dollars kind of in place so that so that we're ready to deal with those funds. And we've been doing a lot of work with some of our third-party partners. I think we're always looking for opportunities of where we can better leverage dollars. And I think, for example, the U.S. Department of Ag and our partnership with Department of Ag in the Bay, looking to leverage some USDA dollars is one critical example of that.
Have you guys done any reports or research? I mean, anything you can provide to us to help with that when we're looking at, okay, if we provide an extra dollar, we can get an extra 3 or 4 from the feds, or whatever the ratio is. Is there anything you can provide to us?
I can see what kind of information we have. I'm not sure if there's something on the shelf, but we can certainly see and provide. And I'll say, I mean, the other side of it is we currently receive state and tribal assistance grants, which funds our federal obligations, so us overseeing Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, et cetera. The percentage we're supposed to match that against, we're way overmatching, just because the amount of money in real dollars has shrunk over time from the federal government, but the responsibilities haven't. So we're spending a lot in some of those areas where we aren't necessarily getting the federal dollars. So in some cases, it's the opposite kind of scenario where we're seeing some erosion of those dollars over time, but the obligation remains.
Okay. One other question I just wanted to follow up on, it's in regards to the Finding Pennsylvania Solar Future project.
Sure.
Is there a reason why DEP is taking lead on this and not someone like DCED? It just kind of seems like it's, I know it has to deal with solar energy, but the purview seems to be in the world of a DCED.
So we at DEP, we have the State Energy Office located in our Office of Pollution Prevention and Energy Assistance. That's a DOE designation that basically is responsible for renewable energy efficiency projects and policy within the Commonwealth. So that's the reason it comes out of that shop.
All right. Thank you.